drag or the local media
Morning,
not telling
everybody.
the story correctly. Not to mention the statewide media, even our local county commissioners.
We've got Sharona and Tina live here.
Support, Clerk Peters. She has some information she's going to share, and then we have more information that I'm going to share. So, Mesa, our clerk Tina Peters.
Good morning. You elected me, and those that would not elect me have put people into my office. Standing right here. I'm here today for a public press conference with Mesa County constituents because the truth must be told. Yay! Woo! Then tell it. As the elected clerk and reporter of Mesa County, I want to remind each Mesa County citizen that I took an oath. I took an oath to uphold the Colorado Constitution, and I took an oath to serve you and to always be transparent and tell the truth and protect our elections. I have fulfilled every single promise that I have made you guys. I've opened offices. I have created low wait times in our offices. I've done. Thank you. You know those ballots? Let me tell you about those ballots. I would like for someone to Cora those ballots because I want you to see what happened that night. What do you mean by Cora? So in April, the Secretary of State began a statewide effort to do a QR software code. And I knew that if they were going to remove something from our election equipment, that it would make it impossible for us to do an audit, which we know later on she forbid audits in the state of Colorado. So I was also very aware that Dominion machines, that there was something going on.
But you said they were okay. So are they okay or not okay?
Sheila Rayner said that.
Go ahead and continue, Clark. So if we removed that, then how would we do an audit? How would we do an audit? So I made a forensic image before, and I made a forensic image after. Thank you.
Amen.
And I'll answer questions afterwards. An image is like a picture. It's a picture, a before and an after. I not only made a forensic image of the server prior to the trusted bill, done by the Secretary of State. I also, as I said, made an image after the trusted bill. And we will get to the preliminary findings and the report of the information shortly.
Yeah.
On August 10th, the Secretary of State sent her minions to examine our machines and decertify them within hours. She came on my office based on Jenna Griswold's BIOS passwords showing up on a Telegram channel. First of all, I want to ask, why would the Secretary of State have passwords to your election machine?
To keep you accountable.
Why?
To keep you accountable. That's
Why
why.
would they?
To make sure that you don't defraud the people of Mesa County.
Why are they secret? Why are they secret passwords? We didn't know they were there.
Are you trying to try this in the public square here, Tina?
On August 10th, I want the public to know that Jenna Griswold's minions were alone for 2 hours in my elections room, behind locked doors and papered over windows. Does that sound familiar to you? And
That's exactly what you did. You invited people who didn't even work there to come in and mess with our machines.
We elected Tina.
We to this day have no idea. We to this day have no idea what they were doing for 2 hours by themselves, unsupervised, until my elections allowed to return to the room. What did they do?
Do not touch me.
What did they do that day?
Touch me.
What did they take that day? What did they tamper with?
It's obvious. They stole the vote.
The
You guys won. You guys won.
Secretary of State has attempted to vastly overuse her powers, her limited powers, by attempting to appoint Sheila Reiner as the head of elections. Did you guys elect Sheila Reiner?
No.
The same Sheila Reiner who led a recall effort against me in 2019.
Yay.
The SOS does not have that authority. The Mesa County Commissioners also do not have the authority to appoint the Director of Elections. Exactly. According to Statute 1-1-110, as the Chief Election Officer for the county clerk and recorder, the one you elected, shall be the Chief Designated Election Officer for all coordinated elections.
Unless she's under investigation.
That is me, Mark Peters, elected by you. And sir, if you don't want to elect me again, please, that is your choice. But these people here elected me to do a job. And the unnecessary and malicious decertifying of our machines by the Secretary of State led to another problem. No voting machines to do our important school board elections. And God bless those people. They're out there working and they need your vote. Our school, our kids need a good school board election. I do support a hand count, and I would have been there without machines to do a hand count. We don't need a scanner. A tabulation equipment, think about it, folks, is just a scanner. Why does it have all this software?
So
and
they can
secret
cheat.
passwords?
So they can cheat. That's why it has it. And that's what they do. They've been doing it for several years.
A lot of people think that.
We
We'll
know
find
that.
out. We have reports now. I do. I am providing the press with a copy of my communications with County Commissioner Janet Rowland from July 29th about these negotiations with Clear Ballot. I had actually wanted to purchase what I believe would be a safer choice for Mesa County. Clear Ballot came in at $277,000 for us to have the same equipment and own it. Do you know, in 2 years from now, we will have paid Dominion $750,000 to lease the equipment. We don't even own it. Plus another $90,000 a year in maintenance. And you know what Clear Ballot's maintenance per year was? $50,000. We're talking $277,000 to own our tabulation equipment by Clear Ballot. And I had already been negotiating with Janet Rowland and have those emails for you to see. Instead, the county commissioners, after various public hearings, thousands of your comments out there, emails, personal meetings, pleading with them not to go through with another Dominion contract. The commissioners chose to ignore you and commit us to another 7 years until 2029.
Get him out of office.
Locking us in until 2029. Even though you, the people, have expressed distrust of these machines, not to mention the enormous cost of $820,000
This right here has my clear ballot quote in it. This right here is a green folder because it represents your money, people, that they're spending on questionable equipment. My concerns were vindicated through the first report. I put that report in front of Janet Rowland and she slid it to the side. And you'll find out exactly what happened to that report just minutes later. Just minutes later, you'll find out what happened to that report. My duty is clear. I have an obligation to preserve the voters' records. Per Colorado law for 25 months and federal law for 22 months. And I have done that by doing an image before and an image after. God bless those people that didn't do it, but that hopefully will. I know you are concerned. We have an incredibly important election coming up November 3rd. Like I said, for the future of our children in this district. I'll leave you with this. What do you want the future of Mesa County elections to be?
Freedom. I want my vote to count.
Thank you. Do you want to get to the truth
Yes.
of election integrity?
Yes.
What are they afraid of?
Truth.
Why are they coming down on me?
Because you're exposing their lies, their corruption. You're exposing it. That's why they hate it.
Would you
That's
want
why
me to
they
give
hate
up?
you.
Since the day I was elected as your clerk and recorder, my job has been to serve you. You are the people that I love. You are the people that I serve. I'm not quitting. I'm not giving up.
We aren't
We'll
either.
figure out a way to find what they're hiding and secure our elections.
We're going with
God bless you guys.
Jenna Griswold needs to be in jail.
One moment, I may be answering your question, so let's see if we can do that. I've given the press that's here and the Democrat Party chair a copy of the communications between County Commissioner Janet Rowland and Clerk Tina Peters. Since July, the clerk had already been engaged in conversations with Clear Ballot to move you over. And interestingly enough, on July 29th, Commissioner Janet Rowland states, my understanding is that any time there was a question asked about getting out of a contract, what that cost would look like. She'll check she said, I'll check with purchasing to confirm that. And then she says, I imagine you can get out of your contract with Dominion. You would just likely have to pay the remainder of what you owe them, which depending on the cost and how.
Shona, how do you have the audacity to be here as a Garfield County? You're a Garfield County resident. Shut up. You aren't even a Mesa County resident. You're not even a Mesa County resident. You're a Garfield County resident. You come all the way down here to agitate the Mesa County election. You are an outside interloper. You are an agitator. You are an agitator. You She doesn't even live in Mesa County. She doesn't even live in Mesa County. She doesn't even live in Mesa County. Shove her! You don't even live in Mesa County. You don't even live in Mesa County. Hey, Wes.
Neither does Jenna Griswold. Neither does Jenna Griswold.
Where's the sheriff? Let's leave this pep rally.
You might have to call me.
Who paid you to come? Who paid you up?
She's not Brian or let me see your
Who paid you to come? Who paid you? Who paid you to come? Who paid you to come? Who paid you to come, idiot? Who paid you to come?
Get away! Go to your own meeting. We do. Get out.
He said God is a mass murderer. That's what he just told me.
So apparently what happened is that this is Scott, and as you probably saw, there was some rushing at the protester, and one of the ladies fell and bumped her head on the ground. And so they're attending to her right now, but they're going to be back in just a little bit and finish up the conference. There are people from the county now showing up and checking out what's going on. The lady's sitting up right now and appears to be okay. But there she goes. She's up. It appears to be the lady that was getting in all the protesters' faces, so unfortunately she took a little fallback, and I think she's okay now. So we're back to the Sharona and Tina.
I want to press charges on that guy. Everybody's out. Hold on. Press charges on that. Have a seat over here. Sit down. Sit down. I have her sit on that.
Mr. Ash, help him out.
They're just trying to disrupt your guys' message. Go ahead.
This is a really important thing that just happened. That guy, Matt Crow, pushed that poor woman down, and now she's hurt. You know, and people that just don't want to listen, they want to try to drown that talking over you. That's a violence, and that is a, you know, I mean, we have a First Amendment right to say what we feel in a calm way. There's no reason for someone like that man Matt to push that woman down and hurt her. You know, that's just unacceptable.
Is he a teacher?
He's a teacher at Palisade High School, and he believes in critical race theory.
And so we're in a public meeting. This is a public press conference, and everybody's welcome to be here. It is really difficult to get the message out and to share this information with you guys if we're constantly heckling and yelling. So if we can move forward with the conference today, I think you're going to find the information really valuable. That's why we came together, because we've been silenced repeatedly on the report that was brought out by the forensic team that was provided for the criminal investigation. What Matt Crow said is correct. There is a criminal investigation happening right now. There's also a civil case happening right now with the Secretary of State. So I want to address the first report that has come out of your forensic images. That's why we're here today. This is the full report right here. I'm going to share just a couple of highlights that are significant. You actually can see and view the copy of the report. The county commissioners received a copy of this report, along obviously with the DA. As a courtesy, Clerk Peters provided it for the county commissioners. I'll talk about that in just a minute. I want to address the major points found on the first forensic report. There are many reports coming. We're getting ready for a second one. That's why we wanted to make sure that you are aware of what was on the first one, because this matters. You know, our vote is our voice. And Matt Crow also said, why am I here if I live in Garfield County? Well, I lived here for 37 years, and I do business here. But what's happening here in Mesa is actually affecting the entire nation, not just Mesa County.
Right.
And that's why I'm here, because it affects my county. It affects all 64 counties in Colorado, and we want to know how it impacted our elections. The information that we're going to share now. So a couple of major findings on this first initial report is, number one, we're going to spend just a minute talking about SQL software. This is a really important issue and one that needs a little bit of attention. There is, when the QR software code removal and the trusted quote-unquote build was done, it was framed as a software update. So you know how your phone will kind of say, you want to do it now or you want to wait? Sometimes things are lost on your update. We all get that. However, there are major components that they weren't lost. They were made sure to be added back onto the system. And then the things that were lost were very significant, and they're actually a federal crime, like 29,000 election logs our election files, were lost during this trusted build. In addition to that, the adjudication logs were deleted. Adjudication logs where questionable votes are transferred. We also know from other states who have already done forensic audits that the adjudication logs actually hid thousands and thousands of votes for Trump. And so those adjudication logs were deleted. Had your clerk not had the foresight to do a forensic image, we wouldn't know this stuff, and we wouldn't know exactly what has been deleted. Interestingly enough, a regular backup that was advised, just a normal little backup like you might do at home to store your information, was advised, and clerk leaders did that. But a regular backup like the other 63 clerks in Colorado had done, or potentially done, we don't know that for sure, would not have saved all of this information, and it's important to understand that. Also lost were communication logs, or deleted, or communication logs. Those communication logs tell us what IP addresses and what other people or entities interacted with your systems the night of both the 2020 election and your city council election. And thankfully, as I've mentioned, your county clerk had the foresight to do a more extensive backup, and we'll know exactly what happened. That report is coming. We're dealing with, I think, 800, massive amounts of terabytes of information, and it takes a minute to sift through it. So those logs were all deleted. And as I said, the election log deletion is significant. It's a crime. You are required by law to preserve those records for 22 months, and statewide 25 months, federal is 22 months. And for the Secretary of State and Dominion to try to give themselves a pass of deleting it is really fascinating to watch. It's still a federal crime, it's still a state crime, and they committed that crime. And yet the criminal investigation has been regarding the clerk who saved the data to prove that those deletions happened. Isn't that fascinating?
Yes.
In addition to that, other things that were deleted. Okay, so let's talk about SQL software. That in and of itself is benign. It's not an issue to have SQL software. Interesting, it's on a tabulator, but okay, it's not a big deal. What is a big deal is the SQL Server Management Studio. And basically what this allows for is open ports and manual firewall rules. It essentially deletes your firewalls on your Mesa County servers here during those elections. There were no firewall protections to keep people out of your system that night, or those subsequent nights and weeks leading up to the election, just so you know. Another thing about the SQL Server software is that you don't know when someone's coming in and out of the system. It's an invisible entryway, and it doesn't ring a bell, it doesn't send an alarm, it doesn't alert the clerk that someone has entered into your server. It is a backdoor, invisible way for your servers to be accessed. What happened yet? That report hasn't come out, but I think you can see where this is going. Interestingly enough, it's on the before image, and it was reinstalled again on the after image of your Mesa County machines. Let's see here. Another thing about SQL software is that it allows for any outside computer anywhere, this is important, anywhere in the world, unfettered access to overwrite and delete system logs. Wireless modems, introduction of removable media, so you can't tell who edited what and when. By itself, I want to be clear that the SQL Server is not dangerous, but in combination with the rest of this obviously reloaded SQL Server software, the Management Studio, that's when it becomes weaponized and weaponizable. It shouldn't be on a tabulator. And that is a consistent consensus among all techies, and even Secretary of State and other states have said there would be no reason to have that type of software on a tabulator, a basic counting of your votes. Okay. In addition to that, we have repartitioning, a total repartitioning of the complete hard drive. Again, does that sound like a software update? I'm just asking. Now this isn't my terrain. The things I'm reading to you and sharing with you are the findings from the professionals who are doing this right now. Remember, this is a criminal investigation and a civil lawsuit, and so these documents are legal documents. You can't just submit whatever you want and hope it flies. It has to be true. It has to be real. These reports are real and accurate information. The repartitioning of the hard drives is very interesting. It shows that massive amounts of other data was deleted. We don't know yet what that is. And it repartitioned the drive into 9 versus 3 drives. Why do you need 9 separate partitions in your counter, in your tab tabulator. You're adding machines for your votes. Why do you need all of this information in a simple tabulator? That's the question that should have been asked, and we still have no answers because the Secretary of State, Janet Griswold, continues to try to criminalize your clerk, tries to remove her from her position as your clerk and reporter here. And that's actually against the law. The Secretary of State has no legal authority to remove another elected official, period, from her position.
Griswold.
That's right.
Well, you know, it's a curious thing to me that we still don't have a criminal investigation launched into the Secretary of State, but unfortunately, I think I have a little more insight on that. I'm sad to say it. On, what day was the report? Can I see that? I guess I have it here. I have it. Sorry, just one sec. I have too many papers here. Thank you. Karen, can you hand me another copy of that, please? On the day that the report was given to the county commissioners, you might remember that I made a big deal. September 15th, the county commissioners were given directly a copy of this report. The first full forensic report of your images so far. Clerk Peters gave it to Janet Rowland directly, with Corey Anderson with her. And within 30 minutes after leaving that office, the report had been scanned and sent over to Charles Ashby. Now, unfortunately for Charles Ashby, we have Cora. Cora allows us to ask elected officials for copies of their emails, their conversations, things that we think are pertinent to us, and look at those things. So there was a conversation on Friday, September 17th at 5:03 p.m. at 4:31 p.m. That's long before the courts had not even received this document yet, by the way. And so an elected official who's in receipt of information that contains illegal activity, crimes, like this report does show for the Secretary of State and Dominion Machines, they're required by law to give it to the DA or to legal. Instead, unfortunately, on September 17th of 2021 at 4:31 p.m., Janet Rowland emailed you, Charles Ashby, and she said, Tina stopped by my office today and hand-delivered a forensic examination and analysis. She said it would be going public in a few days and wanted to give us a heads up. It appears to be the same type of information that was shared on Lindell's show. Still no report from the canvassing results. Thought you might be interested. We scanned it and it is attached. Now here's where the real problem is. In Mr. Ashby's article where he shares this the next day, he says he received this by a Cora request. No, he did not. Karen's got copies of this for all of you. That's false reporting.
Well, we know he lies. We know he twists words. He lies.
That's a lie.
Ashby needs to get out of
The
this
Daily
place.
Sentinel cannot be trusted already. We knew that. We wrote it on pen and paper. Pen and paper saying he received this via Cora request. He in fact did not.
It didn't come in Pravda. How's he going to read it?
Our county commissioner sent this to him directly. She did not submit it to law enforcement, and she did not take these concerns seriously. These are legal documents. This is an examination of what has happened here in your county, and your county commissioners don't seem to have the same urgency that you do.
Thank you for finding
You're going
out.
to twist it again, Ashby, or tell the
What are we
truth?
doing from here? You guys have a very important election coming up, and the purpose of this is we're hearing a lot of people saying it doesn't matter if we vote. I think it would be appalling for them to try anything this election. It potentially could happen, but here's what has to happen. You have to show up. You have to vote. The school board election, as we've seen, that was a teacher from one of our local high schools. You know, it's okay for him to have his views, it's fine, but that view is being perpetrated on your children, and right now you have a school board that's also sympathetic to that view. If you're not sympathetic to that view, if you love America and you love freedom and you love capitalism and you love that everyone here has equal opportunity to do whatever it is they set their heart and mind to do, regardless of the color of their skin, their gender, any of those things, then you need to vote in this election. You have to vote early, and you have to help other people get out and see the importance of this election. There are other things that are going to be coming. The clear ballot situation is also of significance. You know, we've heard the commissioners state multiple times at the hearings that thousands of you attended, saying that it was Dominion or bust. And you know why? Because we had to get that military vote out. 628 military members needed their votes. passed, and that was the urgency they placed on signing this contract with Dominion for another 7 years. That also was a lie. I provided, like I said, for our media that's here, you're welcome to see it as well, the communications between the clerk and recorder and County Commissioner Janet Rowlands dating back starting in June. And then in July, as it got more serious and numbers were being talked about and a contract was being developed to get you out of Dominion. The county commissioners could have easily reflected back to that contract and gotten you into a fair ballot contract. Not that I love anything digital, by the way, just on a personal note. But I am saying there were other options. So to say the only thing you could do was enter into a blackmail deal with Dominion is categorically false. And to use our military to hype that up and justify that decision is disgusting. So this is where we're at right now. We need our grassroots people. We need our regular people that care about our kids, care about this community. And I appreciate so much, Scott, that you've been at all of these. You've been coming out and hearing everything that's going on. This isn't about right or left or Republican or Democrat. We need to preserve our voting system. We cannot have real, true constitutional representation. We cannot be a constitutional republic if our voice does not count. If your vote doesn't matter. But it doesn't mean to stop voting. As these things are getting worked out, I implore you to stand behind Clerk Tina Peters. She's the only one I have seen.
Yes.
Here's the reality, and I'm sure even those who may not always agree with me can attest to this. Look at what happens when you stand up and you go public. Look at what happens. You are punished, shut down, investigated, criminalized. They try to cancel you, silence you, because you're saying this is what happened. We have to have truth. We can argue about our ideologies, that's fine. But the truth of the matter is there are very dangerous things on your machine. Up until a couple of months ago, Wayne Williams, who is now taken over as elections director, he had not even admitted that there was Bluetooth modems in these Dominion servers. Up until just a few months ago. He finally was forced to admit it, along with Matt Crane, the head of the County Commissioners Association. They finally had to admit that there are Bluetooth modems in there. And for those of you who think I'm biased, those are registered Republicans. I don't care about their party affiliation. Are you going to stand up for the truth? Are you going to let the American people, the public, know what's happening? Or are you going to protect your own political capital and work and negotiate with bad people? In order to what? Have them put a nice story out about you later on? Why would you sell yourself for that? We need true patriots who love this country, who love our kids and want a future and a hope for them, to stand up for them. And it's few and far between, you guys. The other clerks in Colorado, I think, have officially, do they want to go through this? No. Probably not. Probably not. And I think that there was an understanding all along that once this was revealed, there was going to be a price to pay. And I'm just grateful that Clerk Peters has been willing to pay that price.
Thank you, Tina.
So as we leave here today, I know there's going to be questions. We'll try to answer all the questions that we can that are within the legal realm. But it is more important than ever that you not be silenced. That you show up and you cast your vote in person. Take that screenshot. Make sure you've done everything to preserve your vote. What happens within the machines is anyone's guess. Nobody knows because by law, your clerk and recorders are not allowed to open those machines. They can't see what's happening inside those machines. The forensic image is the best thing that we can have done. So from now until this election happens, we need all of you guys rallying for these incredible school board candidates who are aligned with us, who believe in America, and want to restore the parents' authority back to them, and actually educate these students, educate these kids. We want that for them. And I know people on the left want that too. And more than that, we've got to make sure that we do all the work after this election to make sure we are not finding ourselves in a position again where we're wondering what happened on election night. This is far from over. We're in a marathon right now. It is not a quick little race. This is a marathon. And so staying diligent is really important, and we're going to do everything we can to keep making that possible for you guys. So as the upcoming reports are coming out, stay tuned, keep watching. We'll have to keep doing this because it's the only way to get the media to kind of come out and report the actual.
Well, they're not going to report the truth. They don't want the truth. They want their lies.
Here, but I do appreciate you guys being here. I'll give you that. Yes, ma'am.
I have a statement to make. To me, there were three things involved in this criminal investigation, and that is Tina, Griswold, and the two Dominion voting machines. Where are they? Who took them?
So right now,
Why aren't they in
Can you
the
repeat the
investigation?
She's asking that Dominion, Jenna Griswold, and Tina Peters are the ones involved in the situation. Where are the voting machines? They are being held by the district attorney's office right now, and hopefully everything's good. As you heard the clerk say, for 2 hours, when the initial invasion happened by the Secretary of State, those people were in there for 2 hours, unqualified to be in there with no election staff. I saw it reported in the paper that election staff was present. That is false. There was no election staff present in that room. So we don't know what went on for 2 hours. What we do know this is when Belinda Knisley was allowed back in, they said, oh, here it is. We found something. Well, we would want another forensic image to be done of those machines to see again what was changed, what was modified, what was removed. And consequently, forensic images cannot be altered. So once they're taken, they can't be manipulated, they can't be revised in any way, form, or fashion, just so you know. Any other questions? Yeah.
Did you say we shouldn't do the mail-in ballots, we should go in person?
It is highly advisable that you go in person and submit your vote. That's so true. Yes, sir.
How much outside money is coming in for children?
Well, right now, as far as you've got a conservative ticket with Andrea Heights, Angela Lehman, and Will Jones. Excuse me, I keep doing that. Angela Lima, and they're doing an amazing job. The grassroots are behind them. They're doing a phenomenal job. On the other ticket, I'm not sure. I really don't know. I'm not paying attention to them. So ours are doing great. Support them. Stick with them. Write them a check.
Why is in a free society is asking a question scary to everybody? Why is it scary to say, hey, maybe we should look at this? Why is that so? Look at this. Look at what's going on. Because somebody asked a question.
Right. And remember, on July 29th, as far as County Commissioner Rowland was concerned, it was fine to ask that question because you all were concerned about Dominion. That's what I was reading before we were interrupted. So on July 29th, Commissioner Rowland believed it was okay for you to ask these questions. I don't know what happened between then and now. I have no idea. I don't know. Going back to the Dominion contract, something the Commissioner keeps telling us is that they had a meeting with you on August 16th, and that's when they were going to discuss the contract. So what is your response to that? So that's what they told us.
They never gave me a choice.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, there was a meeting on August 16th with the county commissioners, and they said that they were discussing the options for voting machines, and so Clerk Peters was responding to that.
So they made their own decision without your designated election official listening, without my input.
So how come you were able to get this?
I was able to, before that, work with Janet, and I thought we had a deal with Clear Ballot, and then she just, for whatever reason, flipped.
Money.
We don't know.
Money.
Yes, ma'am, you'll have to ask her.
So Janet is always being brought up. What about Scott and Colby? Aren't they going along with this as well?
They voted 3-0, so.
So, and about Charles Ashby, he did an article on me in 2012. Delta County had put together a sovereign citizen list. He found out about it from his cousin, who was the road and bridge engineer in Delta County, changed it to a wing nut, the Excel file from sovereign citizen to wing nut, sent it to Charles, and Charles did an article on me in 2012 because of awareness we were bringing out what the Bureau of Land Management was doing to our public lands. You know, and you just called me a wing nut. Why are they afraid of the public, of the citizenry? Why are they afraid?
That's right.
Let me just say something. And most people don't know this. but Sheila Reiner and Charles Ashby are really close friends, and so is Wayne Williams. So Charles Ashby, Lynn Bartles was Wayne Williams when he was Secretary of State, his PIO, Public Information Officer, and Charles Ashby actually slept in her basement, and when they worked for the Denver Post, and so Charles and Sheila and Wayne are all really close buddies. But let me just tell you this. So when I hired Brandy Vance to come, who is friends with Wayne Williams, Wayne Williams told Brandy Vance, you won't have any more trouble with Charles in elections. Because see, there's a favoritism thing that goes on in this county where if you're in the in crowd, like obviously Janet Rowland is now, if you're in the in crowd, you get good things printed about you. But I had 94 articles printed by that man last year and only 2 for me. So, you know, I guess telling the truth is not very popular in mainstream media.
Well, I would just make sure when we have our next press conference, make sure to invite everybody, because this is a very unusual press conference.
Don't you?
We're really the team here today. Do the new machines.
You're a crook. You're a liar.
The new machines, do the new Dominion machines have modems? Of course they do. They all have Bluetooth modems. Yes.
I've got a question. So, Janet Rowland, all the county commissioners are bad.
We're talking about this.
Sure. The treasurer is bad. Wayne Williams is bad. The DA is bad. They're all elected Republicans. So are you coming out today and saying that you're not running as a Republican anymore?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to decide for you. You guys want me to run?
Yay!
The real Republicans.
All right, let's take one last question and we're going to wrap it up. Anybody else?
I get sick of his twisted articles. He's a wordsmith and twist things around and make them the opposite of what the truth is.
Easy.
I don't know. Sheila,
I want your head on the concrete too.
Oh, that one.
are the ballots watermarked?
Thanks.
Did you get that response from? Sheila? You have the email?
I do have a text message.
Can we see that?
I don't know if I can find it.
You can find it. Let's take a look at it. Maybe you misunderstood her question, Sheila. So maybe you're the chief treasurer and not the elections coordinator. Maybe you should stay in your lane.
Stand to me.
Thank you all so much for being here today.
Love you, Tina.
That's it, everybody. Another day in paradise. A lot of stuff going on here, and we'll follow up with some of the information that Sharona gave me and get that out to everybody who wants to see it. Thanks, everybody.